Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Greg here, and I'm with my man John from Manwhore.org. A brilliant mind in the whole dating, seduction, male-female dynamics. This guy is congruent as hell. Happy to have him on because he gets some of the craziest results with his students. And so this episode that we have right now is dedicated to Superhero in the Sack. Kind of an awesome title, but we're going to flesh out some really important topics that are really going to take things to a whole other level because, in our society, we tend to screw up our heads around this whole thing about sex, and in doing so, we almost kill the experience. And so the first thing I really want to flesh out with John here, and before we do that, what's up, John? How are you?
Oh, hey, how's it going, man? Nice little spiel there. Good stuff.
Nice little spiel. I was getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
All right, dude. So, I guess the first thing I kind of wanted to bring up was this, this whole issue, like, why are guys' heads screwed up around sex, and, what does it take to have great sex?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's go back in time a little bit and kind of figure out, or just see where this whole problem came from. Women have just had their, ongoing sexual revolution. But before that happened, there was this idea, espoused by the Catholic Church and Judeo-Christian values, that women didn't like sex or they didn't enjoy it, and that the ones that did were evil creatures, right? So what this did was it made sex a singular male activity. And so when guys were doing it with their wives or whoever, it was all about their focus, what they wanted to get done. And so it was easy for them to have crazy experiences and to really see themselves in it and to be present to the scenario, to the situation, to the experience they were having with this woman, because they didn't have to think about her at all. It was all about their enjoyment, okay? Now, fast forward in time to where we are at today, with the sexual revolution, it's just getting crazier and crazier. Now you've got this whole social narrative going on where it's all about, she comes first. Are you good in the sack? Do you know how to please your woman? Are you good enough? Does she like the size of your male member? All this stuff. And what it's done is it put guys in their heads when it comes to sex, right? They're like, it's become a matter of having stage fright, of performance anxiety. And so that's why you've got all these little 18-year-old boys running around with erectile dysfunction. It's like, what is going on here? Why is this happening? Go ahead.
I was just saying, it's funny that you brought that up because in college, last few years, I've seen this happen to so many people, friends and whatnot, where the first time they're about to hook up with a girl, they can't get it hard, and they're like, "What is going on? This doesn't make any sense." Yeah. I'm 20-something.
Yes, it is a modern problem. I've had so many guys in my training program with this problem, and I fixed it for all of them. So this isn't a problem that you can tackle and take care of on your own. The funny thing about this is that we call it quote-unquote erectile dysfunction, which makes it sound like there's a medical issue. But that's just how our present society deals with things. Oh, it's not my fault. It's a medical problem. I need pills from outside. I need a doctor to give me advice. We hand off responsibility when it is our own responsibility to take care of this, especially because sex itself is supposed to be a singularly focused activity. It's supposed to be our experience. And if you're trying to look outside yourself for the solution, man, you've taken yourself out of the equation in the first place, right? And same thing with the whole idea of stage fright. You got to be having sex for your own experience, and I think I'm kind of getting ahead of myself right there. So let's get back on track here. Your question was what being great at sex really comes down to, and this will kind of solve the first problem, which is that guys are focused too much on the girl's experience. They're too worried about what she's thinking or feeling, okay? And look, when let's say a guy's going down on a girl, okay? They're cool with that. She's having a good time, and then all of a sudden he's like worried, and he says, "Do you like this? Is this what you like? Do you want me to do something else?" The girl's like, "Oh my God, stop! okay? When the focus is too much on her, the girl's like, this guy's a nerd. To sex, what a girl wants from sex is the unique experience of being with that guy. And when he's all of a sudden too focused on her, yo, she's turned off, okay? She almost wants to completely stop having sex at that point, okay? The other thing is that so many guys, they think they get into a relationship with a girl and boom, they're entitled to having sex, and it's a non-issue. I'm gonna have sex now. I'm gonna rip her clothes off her and just stick my cock in her, and we're gonna be done. And that's not how things work. You know, back in the day, in relationships, marriages, or whatnot, society dictated that a man was entitled to get sex from his wife. Well, now that there's some equal footing here, we've got to understand that, you know, the whole escalation process before sex has to be something where, like when it comes to like sex, guys really are kind of light switches. They're either turned on or they're not. And when they're turned on, they just want to get some friction going. Well, for a girl, you know, if she's not turned on or ready, you've got to kind of get her there. And so there's a whole part of the escalation process that guys have to kind of understand to get to themselves to that point. I want to touch on that later, but I kind of want to go back to the earlier discussion, which is this. When it comes to sex, to give a girl the experience she wants, you have to focus on your experience, okay? I'm not saying necessarily to be entirely selfish here, but you have to be present to the moment and to the idea that, you know, you're about to fuck somebody or you are fucking somebody, and to be right there present at that moment, and that's how you give her the experience she wants. If you're thinking, am I being good right now? Or if you're even trying to fulfill this identity that you're great at sex, yo, you're no longer present. You're no longer actually being in the moment, banging this girl. You're like trying to fulfill some bullshit fake identity you think you should maintain, and that's nonsense. Don't think when you're fucking a girl, is this great? Great sex is determined afterwards, okay? You look back and you say, wow, that was some great sex. But if you're trying to match some expectation while you're fucking, yo, it's not gonna work. That's not how it goes. Think about that.
I can relate to this example where one time I had absolutely, like in retrospect, hot ass sex, like killed it, and then like the next time I was in my head because I had like this expectation I had to live up to. This was a while ago, this was like a long time ago, and I was brutal the second time. I literally, like, I wasn't even like that, like, I wasn't even that into it, and, like, it took me a while to get going, and then the third time I was, like incredible, so, because like, that was that low expectation.
Right.
In my head.
Yeah. Okay, so, hey, real quick, let's talk about how that manifests itself physically and in the moment. So, when a guy's too focused or too worried or concerned about what the girl's thinking, he gives himself stage fright, okay? That's not how a dick works. It's completely contrary to the idea of a dick, which is, yo, I'm ready to go now, motherfucker. But when you put expectations on it, he's like, no, I don't want to do this. The human brain, it's a very weird, contradictory mechanism at some points. When it's afraid of something, rather than continue to face a situation and go through it, most people, and when I say most people, I mean like 90-95% of people, will simply shut down because they're not really trained to do something anyway, right? And the dick is it's a physiological mechanism, you know what I'm saying? So it's really kind of a slave to your mind. So if you're focused, if you've got stage fright, you're worried, yo, you're going to shut yourself down, and this is why young guys are giving themselves erectile dysfunction. It was crazy the first time 5 or 6 years ago when I had a student that was like, hey, I've got ED and I'm 19 years old. I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm fleshing out the problem here, and I'm like, wow, your mind is somewhere it's not supposed to be. Okay. The other funny way this manifests itself is that it's the opposite. Premature ejaculation comes from this as well. If you're focused too much on the girl, you're not present to the moment, so your dick's off doing something else, and boom, it's off like a racehorse, and you've lost track of yourself, and and the friction is just too much, and you go off. So that's another way this whole problem of performance issues, sabotage.
What was the second point you said? I just missed it.
Yeah, which one was that? Talking the part about premature ejaculation?
Sorry?
Greg, your audio is cutting out all of a sudden. I can barely hear you.
Can you wait? How about now?
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. But you said the second thing that the second reason why this issue happens.
Which issue?
The ED thing, the erectile dysfunction.
In the way it manifests, meaning premature.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, if I can maintain a large amount of control over my dick and how fast I come or whatnot, because I'm fully in the moment, aware of it, experiencing it as it's happening. When guys get ahead of themselves, wondering too much if she likes it or not, that's when they lose concentration and focus on it, and their dick just goes squirrely and they prematurely ejaculate. Okay, that's where a lot of that issue comes from. Now, I'm not saying you guys out there won't premature ejaculate. I've been with hundreds of women, and it still happens to me every once in a while. And when that happens, I take the easy way out. I blame it on her. I'm like, girl, you little magical vagina. What did it do to me? And I accuse her of like having some kind of like secret power. And this is a way of diffusing it so it's not awkward. It's cool and awesome, and you give it to her as a compliment. And you're like, baby, next time, don't do that to me, okay? So you're also kind of seeding the next experience with her.
Because it's not necessarily like being quick on the trigger that's bad. It's like feeling the shame of it, and then the girl sees you judging yourself, and then you look like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a choice you make how you deal with situations like that. For sure, that's a wonderful point. Yeah, when I come to it quickly, I blame it on her in a funny way. Okay, and also this goes back to the other discussion. If I have an issue where my dick's not getting hard, once again, I put it on her as her responsibility. And you know what? Women are happy to be the ones to take care of that. They're supposed to be the ones doing it. It's like, baby, I'm having an issue here. I think you need to put this in your mouth and see what kind of solution you can come up with. And they're happy to do it. Doesn't matter. Beautiful girls, whoever you're with, they love dicks, and they love being able to take responsibility for the fact that you're hard because she felt she earned something. That's what sex is, So don't be afraid to discuss it. Put a great spin on it, like, baby, this is your fault. Whether you ejaculated too quickly, or whether you can't get her hard, or you aren't hard at that moment, put it on her and she'll take care of it. Sex is a team thing,
Right, and it's funny how a lot of guys kind of like are so concerned at getting the girl off. That puts pressure on them, and that screws up the girl's experience because they want the girl to come, and then she fucking all of a sudden she can't because she feels the pressure. But so like just like you said, when you like don't give a shit if you as long as you're enjoying it, you're into it, and if you come first, like be proud of it. Damn right, you snooze, you lose.
The thing is that let me make a point real fast. I don't think most guys are aware of this. If let's say you come quickly, maybe too fast, maybe you want to, maybe you realize she's not done or whatnot, or for whatever reason, oops, too soon. Okay. At that point, if you get embarrassed or anything like that, you basically you shut your dick down. Okay. I'll tell you what. When I come, I keep going. Okay. I've trained my mind and body to keep going, and I will keep fucking her. And then she'll come. Or maybe she won't come. I don't care that much. It's a great experience no matter what for both of us. But your dick, you can train it to stay hard after you come, and you can still be fucking her. And I've done this with many, many women many times. So it's very possible. You put that excitation, your body will fit it. It's good. It works.
Yeah, I've actually had that happen to me. Like when I'm really, really into a chick, and it's just on, like, yeah, it's either after I finish, I'm still ready, or within 90 seconds, I'm ready to go again.
Totally, absolutely, yeah.
Which is kind of perfect that way, because then you kind of like, when that second round is almost better because like she just saw that you kind of were all about your pleasure. Now you can kind of just prolong it, so to speak.
That's totally it. You're definitely more relaxed the second or third time. You're taking your time. You can kind of see what's up. And you can be more experimental. You can like turn, like flip her around, fucking talk to her all naughty and shit. You know, whatever you want to do. But yeah, you have a lot more flexibility at that point for sure.
You know, I love how you brought up this whole ED thing, because this, maybe people probably might not think it's that common. Like, it could be happening to you right now, someone like the listener, and you might think that this is really freaking rare and this is just some weird issue you have. You're not alone. You know, it doesn't seem like it's common because no one wants to talk about it. It is common.
It's very common.
I've gotten tons of emails from guys being like, you know, Greg, I don't know, like, I've been dieting, I'm not sure my testosterone's too low, like, wasn't able to get it up, and it's like, well, you know, can you masturbate? They're like, yeah, no, I can jerk off. Well, then your testosterone is fine. If you can't get up with a girl, it's a psychological issue, which is what we're talking about now.
Yes.
And even still, I've had times where the first time with a girl, if I'm throwing that condom on, well, no, I do throw the condom on, but sometimes I lose it for a second. I lose it, and sometimes this would trip me the fuck up, and because I would be like, you know, I'd have that shyness about losing it. And so actually you kind of, we talked, and you kind of like helped me reframe this, and so it's like not an issue. I, like, the first time with a girl, like, literally, if I lose it for a second, I do not give a fuck. And I'm like,
right.
You know, man.
Yeah, you said it right there. Whatever happens, get over it. It's not a big deal. Don't even worry about it. Whatever direction the issue takes, you're fine. And yes, like you said, I've had many students. It is very common, but it's not a part of social awareness because nobody wants to talk about it. That's the whole point, is that, you know, the expectation on men these days is to be like an animal in the sack. Well, you've created this stereotype, this image that everybody's trying to make for themselves. Well, by doing that, that's not how the male physiology works, period. So you're going to mess yourself up. So yeah, stay focused, and it's sex. Be excited, enjoy it. Be like, I'm about to bang this girl. Yeah, that's where your mind should be at. Oh, that feels good. Damn, she looks good naked. Wow, she's sucking her. Whatever it is, that's where you want to be at. Don't be trying to meet this expectation that I am a sex god. No, that I am fucking right now. That's where your mind should be at. And at that point, you're free flowing. You're in the moment. You'd be talking dirty to her. Girls love that stuff. You can be doing role plays. Dude, I've done so much funny, maybe even weird shit where I'm like pretending to be a cop, and this girl's at first, she's like, you're stupid, you're weird, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm ignoring. I'm like, girl, you better put your hands where I can see them. I have to search you for contraband. And you realize at a certain point that I'm staying on this, and it's real, and this is going down. This frees her to enjoy the experience of getting fucked by a cop, right? This was just a spontaneous role play, and you can do this in so many ways. But if you're trying to meet some expectation beforehand, you're going to take your ability to act in the moment and be awesome in the moment completely out of the equation.
Right. And so that's the whole idea of being present to experience, enjoying it, and getting rid of any self-image that you have.
Right. Get rid of those self-images. Yes. Be for sure. And remember, you're having sex. Yay! You know, that's the whole point. That's where you should be at. You know.
Right. Well, I think that a lot of guys, they almost are, you know, more excited to, quote unquote, like, you know, bang the girl, have that extra kill count, or like be able to tell their friends about it, or be able to prove to themselves that there's some alpha dude. They're more pumped up about that than down for the experience. Like, if they could go out and, like, if they could just basically tell all their friends they banged the hottest girl in their school or their workplace or whatever it is, they'd be more down to, you know, to tell their friends but not actually do it than actually do it but not be able to tell anyone.
You know, that's a very interesting point. That's a wonderful point, because guess what?
What?
When the girl senses that, she's way turned off. Okay, and I mean, she'll see if she senses something like that. She's like, no way. Okay, but also if you're trying to up your kill count with some particular girl, and you're trying so hard because you're trying to meet that expectation, once again, you're taking yourself out of the equation, and you're not seeing what's happening in front of you. And so when the girl starts doing something in some, you know, off way, you aren't sensing it, and so you can't take care of it, and so it's going to mess up the whole sexual escalation in the first place. You know, there's some things that go down before sex. some things that a woman's feeling or experiencing emotionally that you gotta maintain and take care of. And if you're trying to like up your kill counts, man, I mean that's where that's where like rape accusations come from. You know, you're being too aggressive. You're not being in the moment with her. She's like, who's this guy? You know, if there's drinking involved, and the shit goes wrong from there. You know.
Well,
So.
that was an interesting point. I wasn't really sure what you're getting at, but then you close it off. I'm like, right, that's true. It's like when you're really present to experience, you're with the girl. Like there's that harmony there. It's on. You know, you're feeling her, she's feeling you, and so it just manifests organically. But then when you have this agenda in mind, then you just kind of skip the race, so to speak, and you kind of just she's just an object. She's not a person. There's not that. So she's just like lost, and then bad shit comes of that. So I mean,
Yep.
man, we fleshed out some brilliant stuff in terms of like, what causes this issue to like have the anxiety to not, and then dealing with this whole the AD thing. How to deal with if you do finish quick, how to fucking own it like a boss and score some points by reframing it, not caring, making it something awesome. Making the girl feel instead of like feeling embarrassed, give the credit to the girl. Why are you taking the credit away from her? Let her feel happy about it. Damn.
Right.
And then she's gonna be like, because no one does that. I guarantee you, no one does that.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful. So I guess kind of like the next thing that I want to kind of talk to you about, because I think we fleshed this pretty dry. And if someone has like a lot of issue with this, then you definitely want to contact John, send him an email, have his email down, and you might need to do some more coaching or whatnot. But the next thing that I wanted to talk about was because obviously we can't flesh this stuff out completely in one call.
I want to say one thing right now. I believe that everybody should fix this, and I'm not trying to charge somebody for this right here. All of you guys listening, fix this. You can do it, and I'm telling you right now, the answers are in the discussion we just had. So if you got some questions about something, re-listen to it. If you got something specific, hit us up and we'll answer it for sure. But I feel like I gave all I could, but the answers are definitely there. Stage fright, get rid of it. We told you how to do that. Where to put your focus, okay? So for sure, this should not be a problem in our world today. Fix it, get rid of it. Let's move on to some better, more specific, complicated things to coach on, Anyway, sorry, I just want to rant. Go ahead.
Cool. And like, a couple things, I know you talk about this stuff, and like one thing that helps kind of solidify this, what we're talking about is, the whole meditation and listening to Eckhart Tolle definitely helps establish that ability to be present to the moment. It's easy to tell yourself be present. It's harder. It's a lot fucking harder to do it. And so.
Well, what it comes down to is you're right. It's like everybody's so good at telling people what not to do. What do you actually do, right? Well, that's why we discussed earlier where you should have your focus. Your focus should be in the moment, what's happening, what you're doing. Okay, and that way you keep your dick in the equation because it's a part of, it's part of your mental, emotional, physiological paradigm. That is the male sexual dynamic at work. And when you skip too far ahead mentally, you're not where you're supposed to be. So yeah, focus in the moment. And yes, Tolle will help you with that. But that's what you do. I hopefully that was clear. Anyway, go ahead, man.
Okay, so now earlier in the call you're talking about how guys are like a light switch, and that kind of mentality when they project onto the girl, it doesn't go down. Whether it's a new girl or whether it's a girlfriend, in order to you have to do things differently to get a girl into the vibe. And so
right.
How does that work?
Okay, so you're talking about girlfriends or new girls?
Well, let's start with new girls.
Okay. So we talked about this. We've been beating a dead horse. But here's the deal. When guys are too eager or they're feeling stage fright, they lose that cool male vibe they got going on, and they become too eager or even too scared, okay? And so the girl will sense this. When a guy loses his confidence, or he's too overly eager to get at her, it's going to turn her off, okay? A guy needs to realize, always maintain the aura, the vibe, the idea of himself that you know, I am as much of a prize here as she is, okay? I'm the man. And I've been in situations with more than one girl. I don't find myself in these situations anymore because I basically solved it. But I would be in situations with a girl where I would be overly eager to fuck her. And this created in me like a weird sense of urgency where I was like trying to like rip clothes off, or I was going too hard for her, gunning too hard for her, and she kind of closed down, okay? But then, and I did this, you know, in the middle of it happening, I'd realize what was happening. I'd be like, wait a second, I'm being too eager here. I'm going to chill back, relax, and realize that she is getting just as much, probably more out of this experience than I'm getting, because, man, I'm telling you, I don't moan and scream and drip when I'm fucking, right? That's what the girl's doing. She's laying there getting railed and screaming out of her fucking mind. It's like, we're doing all the work, right? The girl, in the end, gets a major amount of pleasure out of this whole thing. So when you realize that, that's when you you have that vibe and all that attitude, and that tweaks your behavior, and it could be very subtle, but it's there. And when a girl sees that, man, that's when she gets more comfortable and even turned on by this demeanor you've got. That's real. I know some guys are like, what exactly is he talking about? Some guys definitely know what I'm talking about. But I want you guys to explore what that is in these scenarios, because you'll see it and feel it, and you'll be able to correct situations. Because every guy out there, we've all been there when we're about to fuck a girl, and then boom, she shuts the door on it. She's completely shut down. We're like, what happened? Well, many times that's what happened right there. We were no longer the prize in our own minds. We were too overly eager. And she's like, nope, not cool anymore. And this goes back to biology and evolution. You know, I don't want to go into that too much, but the answer is there in our genes and such. Greg, did that make sense? Could I make that clear, or did you get that?
No, it's clear. Essentially, what you're saying is, you know, when you want it so badly, you become too eager, and you basically lose sight of the fact that this is her experience too. Well, you don't really, I guess, you know, in making her the prize, taking the prize off yourself, you don't give her the whole fun experience of being able to win you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's very much the case, yeah. She becomes a prize too much. She's on a pedestal, and a girl doesn't want to fuck a guy that's put on a pedestal. So by maintaining your own image of, yo, I'm the boss here as well, I'm the prize, you maintain the correct dynamic, the correct male-female balance. The other main thing I want to mention is the yin and yang of physical and sexual escalation, okay? And I brought this up earlier, and I didn't want to get into it too much there.
Before we get into the yin and yang escalation, I just have a question. Like, is it possible, like, to be escalating on the girl? I mean, while assuming that you're the prize, that you're the shit. I guess you kind of said that, but I guess it's more of a mindset thing and how that looks.
Oh, Greg, ask that one more time. You kind of cut off for a bit there. You got a little fuzzy in your speech. I think I got it. I just want to make sure.
Right. So I mean. You mentioned like being the prize, not being too eager, but is it possible to kind of, you know, be escalating, being simple, but still hold an idea in your head that you're the prize and letting the girl kind of.
Absolutely. Wow, this is another discussion, but it's an amazing one. Okay, here's the deal. There is this
difference between being eager but like escalating with that, you know, you're the prize.
Okay, well let me make another massive point here. A lot of guys, this is huge. A lot of guys follow this sexual rhythm or timeline, and it basically goes along with, I call it the Hollywood. It's the Hollywood story, right? So you grow up watching rated G movies, and you watch The Little Mermaid, and she finally kisses the prince at the end, right? And you're like, oh my God, we had to wait the entire movie for them to kiss. That's ridiculous. And then you've got PG, and maybe people are making out, and he might grope her boobs or something. And then you got PG-13, and oh my God, we saw the side of a boobie. And then we've got rated R, which you hit when you're 17, or excuse me, when you're 18, and people are having sex, but you can't see it, and there's some like awkwardness going on. And so guys are not trained in what actual sexual escalation should look like. So they're in their heads, and what they practice in execution is they'll be kissing a girl for half an hour, and then they'll go to for her boobs, and she'll either knock them away or let them play with her boobs, and then they'll go like try to go between her legs and whatever. And the thing is this is not the guy's natural rhythm.
I gotta spend 30 minutes at level 1, and then 45 minutes at level 2, and then I'll graduate to level 3.
Yeah. And not only is it not natural to the guy and it's stupid, but when the girl realizes that you're following a Hollywood date story, she's so turned off. She's like, what kind of experience does this guy have that he's following the Little Mermaid, rhythm here? It's like, that's stupid, okay? So actually, high-value masculine escalation, this will probably be shocking for a lot of people, okay? But you got to realize a guy that's in charge of himself and is a boss, he's going to be focused very much on his own pleasure and what he wants to do, okay? So this will be kind of weird for some people, but hey, for some of us, we know exactly what's going on here. The answer is this. You need to have your dick out very soon into the interaction and be basically kind of demanding or creating expectation that she, please you in some way. Hand job, sucking your dick. My whole thing is this. I will be kissing a girl and then take my dick out. And I will be very adamant about the fact that I want her to go down on me or something like that. So that right there is a very applicable way the high-value male rhythm, kind of defines itself. And look, girls recognize this. They know this. Let me tell you right now, when I'm making out with a chick in my car and I take out my dick, she recognizes this and she knows what time it is. Okay, I can have a girl pressed against the wall, I'll be kissing her. Okay, take my dick out, and then sometimes girls just go right to their knees. Sometimes I kind of like encourage them. I'm like, yo, get down there, or suck my cock, or introduce yourself, or whatnot. We're kind of getting into NC-17 areas here, but this is one way in which you maintain kind of like your masculine virtue while escalating on a chick. Okay, too many guys are hung up on, is she ready? Is this okay? She is all right. I'm playing with her boobs. Okay, hopefully I can go between her legs. And they're so hesitant, so nervous, so worried about what the girl's thinking that they come off stupid. They come off childish almost. So yeah, a guy that handles himself correctly is a superhero in the sack, so to speak. It's about his pleasure, and he's probably gonna get his dick in her mouth quite quickly. Okay, that's how it goes. If you watch porn, and this is funny because it seems to follow the same rhythm. You guys, guy and a girl making out, and all of a sudden she's sucking his dick, and some people are like, wait a second, that's not what happens in real life. Nonsense. That is what happens in real life. Porn is actually kind of started to follow a natural rhythm. So if you want to see how the escalation goes down, you can actually watch porn and learn some things. It's
kind of like what everyone wants, but they're kind of too scared to do.
Yes, and that fear is bullshit. It's a socially conditioned narrative that's nonsense. I'll tell you what, I could teach those porn stars a thing or two, okay, about what they're doing, and what they're doing is actually very right on to a large degree. Sometimes they say retarded stuff or stupid stuff, but yes, that is the natural rhythm of a high-value guy about his business. And girls recognize that, and they appreciate it, and they are completely compliant, complicit, whatever you want to call it. So, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, you mentioned the whole thing about like, spending 30 minutes kissing a girl and like following that Hollywood script, and like it's just predictable as heck, and so it's not really what you want. I mean, if you're being really honest with yourself, you're not gonna just want to kiss some new girl for 30 minutes straight before taking the next step.
No, it's obnoxiously slow and very boring, and the girl, I mean, look, if you do something like that, the girl realizes that you're following some, social narrative Hollywood date story, and she's just going to demand that you take her out to dinner 3 times before she gets naked in front of you, okay? She's going to meet that expectation. If you're displaying yourself as that guy, that's what she's going to do, okay? Go ahead.
It's funny. So what I like to do usually is like what turns me on when I'm with a girl and I'm making out with her for the first time is like, I usually cut the makeout out very short, and I'll turn her around, which is weird. No one like does this, and I'll push her against a wall, and I'll like flip her hips into me, and then I'll just kind of like grab her body and then like turn her back around and then kind of move her around and then like just all this random obscure shit. And I guess that because when I asked the question because like can you be escalating hard on a girl while still being the prize? And so because I felt like I was kind of doing that a lot, and so
absolutely, but only a guy that's present in the moment, focused on his pleasure, will understand that the whole idea of manhandling a girl is for your pleasure, and you're taking her logical mind out of the equation. She's being surrendered to a sexual emotional experience that's amazing for her. She doesn't know what you're going to do next. You're unpredictable. You're manhandling her for your pleasure, and girls just get to surrender to this and experience it. And so, yes, you nailed it. Yeah, absolutely.
And when you said present the moment, like you have to understand that sometimes you're going to have to pull away. You have to back off. You can't just be on. And so I guess that also comes back to the whole idea of not being too eager. If you sense that it's not like the girl's not like with it, you might have to pull away, and she might want to like kind of get into the whole seduce you mode.
Right. Well, the other thing is this: a lot of guys get over eager and they're gunning for the prize and they're off their own rhythm. There's going to be, doesn't matter if in the middle of sex or whatnot, or escalating to that point, there's going to be a natural ebb and flow to your own rhythms as well. So you're going to be kissing your girl, pin her up against the wall, and then that's it. You might want to just back off because there's a natural ebb to your energy. Okay, so yeah, there will be ups and downs, and if you're eager the entire time to make it happen, it does work sometimes because two people can get in the heat in the moment and they just go at each other. Typically with new girls, you can make that happen maybe 20 to 30% of the time, but a lot of women aren't going to be very responsive to that. So yes, there is a natural ebb and flow. It follows the whole yin and yang of physical touch and sexual escalation itself. So yeah, it's not just about the girl wanting to see you back off. It really is about your natural rhythms inside. So for sure.
What's the? Can you expand on the whole yin and yang approach?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, sure. So when I'm explaining this to the guys in my program, I asked them, I'm like, hey, what's the difference between guy and girl porn versus lesbian porn? And there's some you watch lesbian porn, and basically the women are very sensual with each other. They're stroking each other, they're nurturing each other, whatever. They're very gentle. They're running their hands all over each other's bodies. When it's a guy and a girl, the guy is taking her, he's moving her around, he's spreading her legs, he's picking her up, setting her down, thrusting inside her. It's a shaping, hard energy. He's creating something. Whereas when it's just two girls, they're kind of like taking what's there and like nurturing it, like running their hands over it. Whereas a guy will grab a girl and move her to where he wants her. Okay. Here's the deal, though. A lot of guys, and myself included, straight up for years was like this. We were stuck in the yang, stuck in the hard energy. So we grab a girl and think, she just wants to be dominated like a caveman. I'm gonna throw her down, make her, suck my dick, and move on to the next. Well, that's not how it works. As I started getting better, I started adding more sensual energy, more soft touching to my escalation, and it went all the way. So if I was to take a look at the whole female population, I would say that about 70% of women need some kind of mix of yin and yang, hard and soft, physical touch and escalation, to the whole sexual escalation process itself. I'd say there's about 15-20% where you can just tackle them kind of hardcore and they'll go at it, they're down. Some girls, they're afraid of dominant touch. Maybe they had traumatic experiences in the past, or they're just that girl. But most of the time, when you're about to fuck a girl, there's got to be the mix of the two, the hard and soft, the yin and the yang. Okay, I would say that is probably, to be honest, mostly sensual stuff. And what's interesting is that in our present day and age, most guys don't know anything about this. They're completely oblivious to this. Most of the guys listening, this is the first time hearing this. The only guy that sometimes realize this, and they might see it but not know what they're seeing, or they might get some kind of rudimentary ability to handle things are guys that have girlfriends or wives, because they realize, wow, if I don't make her ready for this, she's not going to fuck me. And this is kind of a recent change, because back in the day, 40, 50 years ago, and all the time before that, men were entitled to get sex from their wives, right? It's like, and so there was no escalation whatsoever. Like, okay, we're going to have sex now, so she'd get naked and then they'd have sex. And so, that's how things just went down. These days, the girls got equal say in it, and so these guys with, long-term girlfriends, they're starting to realize, I've got to get her ready. Well, a lot of that is the more sensual touching, okay? But then you have to mix in, like, the hardness. Like, you grab her hips and you yank her towards you. You pick her up, throw her down on the bed. Maybe you grab her hair, okay? And so it's that mix, that dominant male energy mixed with the sensual, the part that she's comfortable with, that makes her feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and even that endearing side of yourself. That mix of the two is what makes her completely ready and complicit to having sex with you. Okay, I've got some stories about this if you want. If not, we can skip that.
Yeah, this is stuff that people are probably hitting themselves in the face right now.
Completely.
Like, why? Like, how many times have I lost on girls because I was all yang, or I was like all yin,
Absolutely.
I used to probably when I was younger be more yin, because I'd kind of like felt like you had to be nice and I didn't want to be too physical, and so it was just kind of girls couldn't really surrender to that.
The guys that read She Comes First, and they're following the current social narrative of, are you good in bed? Does she like what you're doing to her? Yeah, they're too much yin. They're too much giving the girl control, trying to be all nurturing, and it's turning girls off, because there's an absence of the yang, the hardness, the dominant. Go ahead.
And this yin-yang concept can also take effect in your voice, because we talked about the physical touch.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's another topic entirely. I don't know if I want to go into that right now.
Okay.
It's like dialogue, lover boy, verbiage, that kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of play in the tonality, the way you talk to a girl. But dude, we're not going to go into that now. That's something else entirely. Do you want me to tell a story or two?
Yeah, let's get a little story time with John.
Okay, sure.
Story time. If you ever have kids, bedtime stories with John. So, kids. Guess what Daddy used to do.
NC-17 story time for kiddies. Yeah. I just want to give a couple examples of how this plays out, so guys can get some illustrations of how this actually applies itself to real life here. I took a girl on a date, and a gorgeous chick. And I was messing with her so hardcore at Dave & Buster's. I was picking her up. I was like teasing her, making fun of her. It was fun, in good play. But I was definitely more like the yang stuff, right? Like at one point, I picked her up and set her on the ground, and then like sat on her, right? I was really messing with her to the point where security guards like kind of started walking over, and then I stood up and walked away. And so I was just like messing with her, right? And she loved it. It was really fun, and she'd be like swatting me and stuff. Like you're so mean, but she loved it, right? Well, anyway, she was very receptive to this. It broke through her walls. She loved this. Her and I became very silly and intimate with each other, and it was very lovey-dovey. But here's the thing: when I got her back to my place, this whole hard charging energy wasn't working. Okay, it just was not working. Like I couldn't like just start ripping her clothes off. That wasn't gonna make this go down. So I'm like, wait a second. I'm kind of trying to visualize what kind of girl this is. Blah blah. Whatever. There's all kinds of little exercises you can do for that. But I realized something took form in my mind, and I realized that this girl needed a much softer style of touch and experience for her to be comfortable with sex. It hit me like a lightning bolt. And I realized this, and I settled down. I just relaxed. Not even that much talking with her. We're sitting on my couch at this point. Just relaxed, put on a movie, talking very soft and slow with her, kind of touching a little bit, not really much, And then I grabbed her, I'm kissing her, okay? And then that from there was good to go. Okay, I don't necessarily have to go in too much any farther, but at one point, very soon after, my dick was in her mouth. Okay, end of story. So that's where, and this is about what, this was years ago, but that's where I kind of started to realize, wow, there's a serious dichotomy, and if you're not covering both, you're going to lose out on a bunch of women, a ton of them. There was one girl that came over to my house. This was our first date. My car was broken down. I couldn't leave my house. I'm like, yo, why don't you just come over here? And she's like, okay. So she comes over, and she is so nervous at first. Like, and come to find out, it's like she's going to a new guy's house for the first time, and that's why. But I thought I'd stick her with a tack, and she just fly off from the ceiling. That's how nervous this girl was. She was like very chattery, talking way too fast. And I'm like, yo, if I even so much as touch this chick, she's probably going to run right out the door, okay? But the other mistake I didn't make was try too hard to, like, what's wrong, right? I didn't focus on her. I focused on me being awesome, just staying relaxed, having a good time. And over the course of about an hour, this girl finally warmed up. And at one point, she's like, hey, I'm so sorry about earlier. I probably seemed neurotic. I was just very nervous about being over here. I'm like, hey, no problem. It's all good. Well, once she got relaxed, man, I just went at her like a bull, and she loved it. And I fucked her. I mean, like, it was like I picked her up, I fucking threw her on my bed, and she's like, oh my god, and that's how it went down. So interesting, because those two stories are somewhat black and white. I moved from one to the other, and it goes down. I think most girls are going to be kind of like a mix of the two as you go along. So I think that's a really good illustration. I don't know too much more I could go into. What do you think, Greg?
No, that was perfect, because it was almost like you had to flip the script. One thing was working, but then it took you from level A to level B, and then it stopped working. So most people would probably get stuck in that mode. Oh, this girl's responding to this. It should keep working. Why isn't this working anymore? But yeah, it was a beautiful transition. It was interesting. How did you know with this quieter, more neurotic, shy, introverted girl, how did you know after she warmed up that you could hit her with that hard energy? I guess it was because you had to be there.
That's a wonderful, that's a very good question. I just started, okay, so once I realized she was comfortable, I started getting more exploratory. And at one point, I just kind of like, I said something like, I accused her of something really stupid and silly. I'm like, look at you, you're trying to steal my silverware, something random like that. And I kind of like pushed her against the wall. I'm just messing with her, I'm just playing around, and she knew this too, but I could tell by the way she responded, the way I kind of like grabbed her. She went, oh, like I could tell that was what she was responding to at that point. I was like, well, I know how to handle this from now on, and that's what I did. So yes, there are these, you're really kind of putting something out there energy-wise for the girl, for you to see how she responds to it. If she likes it, you know what's up, and you go from there. But yes, you are building an experience with the girl and seeing the mutual experience you guys have together. And so yeah, you get a lot. I'm here to tell you guys to skip your guys' learning curve, but man, it took me years to figure this out. Years, like 10 years or so. And now here I am teaching you guys, and you'll get it really quickly. And that's okay, because that's how the human civilization built itself, So there.
Right, and in having to learn it yourself, a lot of times it motivates you for further learning. It takes years to learn like some of this fitness stuff, and there's a gift in that self-discovery.
That's very true. That's very true. But at the same time, this is something where guys either lose out on a ton of amazing experiences. Right. Or they actually mess things up, and they lose friendships or relationships with girls, and then some guys go too hard with the yang, and they get criminal charges and stuff like that, and it's like, yo, rather than upset a girl emotionally, okay, don't take things too far. Relax. Here's some knowledge. Here's how to apply it. Go. And from there, you can take these experiences where girls were horrified at it and make it something that they actually loved. Okay, and cherished, and it was a great experience with the guy. And so yes, knowledge is power, and knowledge applied correctly becomes a beautiful thing. So yes, more guys and girls should be having sex because of this podcast we did. Absolutely, for sure.
Well, dude, yeah, this was awesome, man. We covered some fantastic stuff. Wow. I mean, like, if you guys listen to this right now, like, you're super lucky because this information you will not find elsewhere.
Oh.
You will not. So you have a serious edge. Um, and so John, where can people get more info from you? I know you have a textbook coming out, and
Dude.
these days texting is the shit. Texting is
Yeah.
a big portion of game, especially if you're using Tinder and stuff. Um, so yeah, so where can people kind of hit you up on, and what do you got going on?
Sure. So my main website is manwhore.org. It's not manwhore.com. I think that's a gay site or something. It's manwhore.org. manwhore.org. My email is manwhore@manwhore.org. And I've got a forum at it's manwhore.org/forum. There's a bunch of advanced guys on there that are really kicking ass and are really down to help people. And if nothing else, show up to the forum and be ready to learn and be ready to shed some of the preconceived ideas you guys have, because there's a lot of misinformation out there that's just complete nonsense, and we have to take the time to get rid of it before we can grow you in the ways you need to grow. So yeah, and then I've got a book on text game coming out, which is massive, because not only is text game also has everything to do with online game. If you can run online game, you're probably pretty good at text game, and vice versa. But it's the medium. It's a written form of communication between guys and girls. And to be honest, guys these days are completely clueless when it comes to this stuff. And so yeah, I'm taking the time to educate you in the ways of communicating emotionally with a chick through texting, whether it's really short, you're just getting her out on a date and wham bam, that's it, or I've had dozens and dozens of relationships with girls that took place over text, and it was a matter of like weeks, even months, sometimes up to 2 or 3 years before I met up with a chick and we consummated our little relationship. So yes, this book is a culmination of like 14 years of gaming in the written medium. It's massively detailed, has, oh man, hundreds and hundreds of examples in it. And you can just copy and paste some of the text, and yes, they'll work, and you'll have a lot of great experiences with them. But I'm showing you guys and teaching you guys text game so that you can learn it and do it yourself and become that guy that all your friends hand you their phones and you're writing their texts for them. You can do that. I've been there many times. I got like a line of like 4 friends waiting to hand me their phones. It gets pretty ridiculous at times. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Manwhore.org. That's my website. And yeah, I hope to see some of you guys there. Cool.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. It's been fantastic. Take care, guys. Bye.